Just to give a brief about IIFCL, we were established in 2006. Until 2019, we have played the role of a last mile lender, providing long-term financial assistance as a consortium partner. We are providing holistic end-to-end solutions for the infrastructure sector and have expanded our portfolio to take out finance, refinance, subordinate debt, and credit enhancement. Last year, IFCL also started investing into project bonds and InvITs. Infrastructure, as we all know, plays a crucial role in contributing directly or indirectly by supporting the economy and the growth of the nation. Government of India has also enhanced its emphasis on the same through schemes like the National Infrastructure Pipeline, National Monetization Pipeline, Gati Shakti. We have reached an important milestone of crossing consolidated sanctions and disbursements of over 2 lakh crore and 1 lakh crore respectively. I'm glad to share that out of this performance, I'd request my Managing Director, Mr. P. R. Jaishankar, to please raise the curtain and present our financials. Please, sir.
Good morning to all of you. I think I'll speak from here so that it becomes easier for addressing you as well as handling any questions and clarifications that you may have. It's more a discussion about IIFCL. And to begin with, I should lay the importance to the infrastructure sector as such, because undoubtedly it is the biggest drivers of economic growth. So the government in its various endeavors, particularly in the union budget speech, the Honorable Finance Minister has emphasized the need for delivering world-class economic and social infrastructure. And through the various other initiatives, National Infrastructure Pipeline, the National Asset Monetization Pipeline, the Gati Shakti, then the efforts of the other ministries, the Sagar Mala, the Bharat Mala, and many other development programs for infrastructure by the state governments and other departments have all spelled the need to meet the aspirations of the nation. And infrastructure today is more driven by the aspirations of the people, which has now come to such heights that we cannot, do with anything less than but world-class, state-of-art infrastructure facilities. So in this milieu, IIFCL, which was formed in 2006, now we are coming of age, I should say, and we have a vital role to act as a bridge between India's, the government's infrastructure policy objectives on one side and the industry, the financial sector on the other side. Access to capital and ability to create an investable pipeline, that obviously are key to the development of infrastructure projects and infrastructure sector. Towards this, IFCL has been playing a role as the leading innovative infrastructure lender today. IIFCL is the only institution which lends to almost all the infrastructure sectors, and we have been pushing our potential to leverage into most of the sectors with our new products, innovative financial products, and financial resources. And today it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this press conference and announce the financial results of IFCL for the year 21-22. Let me just talk about the record sanctions and disbursements. We have been breaking records. Last year we broke a record of posting the highest ever sanctions and disbursement. Today we have broken last year's record. Therefore, it is still the highest ever sanctions and disbursements even this year. Over a period of time, IFCL has been doing about average of about 6,000 to 7,000 crores sanctions and about 4,000 to 5,000 crores of disbursements till 2019 or so. Last year we breached that and did 21,000 crores of sanction and about 9,000 crores of disbursements. This year the sanctions is about 25,120 crores and disbursements about 10,445 crores on a standalone basis. On a consolidated basis, it's much more. The figures will be revealed on 30th, that is Monday. This signifies 20% year-on-year growth over last year's and in terms of sanctions, and 10% year-on-year growth over last year disbursements. The cumulative sanctions and disbursements on a standalone basis the consolidated cumulative sanctions and disbursements stood at 2.2 lakh crore sanctions and 1.1 lakh crores disbursements as on March 22, of which 25% has been done in the last 2 years and 22 of sanctions has been done in the last 2 years and 22% of disbursements has been done in the last 2 years. The outstanding loan book of IFCL increased to about 40,000 crores, 39,352 crores to be specific, as of 31st March 2022, up by 7% as compared to last year. Despite the challenges faced during the last year, and despite the challenges faced during the last 2 years, I should say, and a number of prepayments also which were faced by the sector as well as the company. The consolidated loan book has crossed 50,000 crores in this particular financial year, and the asset size has crossed 70,000 crores in this financial year on a consolidated basis. Profits. We have continued with our trend to be profitable because it is very important for any institution. We believe that in order to be in any business, to be playing a very key role, it is important that profit also matters, and sustainable business is all that is key to any activity that needs to respond to the markets, and we have continued with our trends of profitability, and this year's profit stands at 514 crores net, and this is it is a jump of 80% over the last year's profit of 285 crores, and it is a tenfold increase over the profit of 51 crores in financial year 2020. The profit before taxes on a standalone basis, these are all standalone figures, on a standalone basis was 590 crores, which is up by about again 75-80% as compared to the profit before taxes of 315 crores in the financial year FY21. In the financial year 2020, there was no profit before taxes because of a loss of 291 crores in 2020. Now, the net worth and value of the organization. Over the last 2 years, IIFCL's net worth has shown a significant improvement. In the last year, the net worth was 10,654 as on March 2021. This year, it has improved to 11,737, an improvement of 14% over the net worth of last year, which significantly shows what is the value being added to the government's equity proportion as an organization. From March 2020, the overall increase of net worth has been over 1,200 crores approximately, and this has been the value which has been added. We have aligned our business models. The manifold increase of business, I would put the manifold increase in our business over the last 2 years as a significant achievement for the organization. And this only has demonstrated the potential of IFCL to serve the infrastructure financing needs of the nation. And in terms of the operations, we have aligned our business models on the basics based on the dynamics of the market, and being agile in all our core activities, be it venturing into new products, be it product pricing, targeting new sectors, adopting digitization to further our operations and monitoring, and putting in place a medium-term strategy for ensuring our future growth on sound lines. Another major improvement has been in terms of our asset quality and trust in recoveries. Our asset quality has improved over the last 2 years, with the NNPA, that is the net NPAs, falling to 3.65% as compared to 5.39% last year and 9.75% the previous year. The gross NPAs has fallen for the first time in the last 5 to 6 years. It has fallen below 10% to 9.22%, down from 19.7% in March 2020. The provision coverage ratio has increased from 50% to 63% during the same period, and this actually signifies the significant robustness in the financial health of the company. As far as recoveries are concerned, recoveries have played a very important role. In the last 2 years, we have been very focused on recoveries, and we have left no stone unturned, be it the termination payments from the National Highway Authority or any other concessioning authority, or for that matter, management of the stressed assets in the manner that it had to be managed with time-bound resolutions. And these all have yielded good results, and the recoveries for 2022 has been at around 780 crores as compared to 618 crores last year, and 325 crores in the financial year 2020. So more than twofold recoveries in the last 2 years. So we are striving to continue the efforts with greater vigor this year and further reduce the NPA levels. So far we have succeeded, and we will try to better these in the next year. Same time, the activities and initiatives of IAFCL have also been very profound in terms of new products. We have been permitted by the Reserve Bank to lend to InvITs, invest in InvITs, and invest in bonds of infrastructure projects and hold them as loans and advances. And these products, the lending to InvITs and bonds constitute two primary products of IAFCL. And in the long run, in the way forward, these would definitely play a very significant role in financing infrastructure sector. The national infrastructure pipeline envisages 111 crores, around 111 lakh crores investments between 2020 and 2025. Raising this money is an onerous task, and bond market is a very, very important constituent in the process of raising the alternative or alternative fundraising avenue, and this will be very critical. World over, be it the USA, which constitutes about where the corporate bond market constitutes about 2.35 times of the GDP, or for that matter in South Korea where it is more than 2.5 times the GDP, or for that matter in Malaysia where it's almost 100% of the GDP. Many other countries where actually infrastructure and economic growth is pronounced, the corporate bond market has been playing a very, very active role, and I think we also have to play our role to ensure the deepening and widening of the bond market. And towards this, we have embarked our process of investments in bonds and in so far as infrastructure projects are concerned. And there, today the Indian corporate bond market nearly lacks long-term investors. So we would like to we would like to make a difference there. So we would like to focus and emphasize our investments more in the longer term, and we would like to be a long-term investor, known as a long-term investor. Though of course we are not going to say no to short-term and medium-term, but we will be more into long-term, and we will be playing the role of an investor who can make a difference to the needs of the infrastructure projects which access the bond market. So that is something which is our endeavor in this process. Last year, in the year for the financial year 21-22, we have invested about 975 crores in the bond market. Though of course our permission came quite late, maybe about November 2021, but we could put our policy in place and all the operational processes in place, and before March we could do these investments. And this year we expect the investments to double or maybe more, and this will going forward, this will play a very, very significant constituent composition of our asset profile. We are also eyeing the opportunities in the infrastructure investment trusts, in which today constitute a very significant vehicle for developers to release their capital after the project is completed and invest the proceeds that they receive into newer projects. And I think it's a very important activity that is envisaged for furthering our national asset monetization pipeline also. So I think InvITs is one important area for IIFCL in the way forward. So we would like to kind of take more initiatives to fund InvITs, and that is we already have a policy on that, and we will be going aggressively this year. Some of the key achievements of IIFCL has been that we are the highest borrower of ADB in the country, and our multilateral borrowings, which the multilateral borrowings for any infrastructure sector institution, financing institution, is very important because of the longer term resources and cost effective resources. So we have relationships with almost all the multilateral financial institutions, and we are the largest borrowers of ADB in this country. And that we would like to leverage on our borrowings from multilaterals to the extent possible, so that we can sustain our long-term lending strength. As far as other achievements are concerned, we have been the lead lender in the first railway station redevelopment projects in Bhopal, Habibganj. We are the largest lender to HAM projects. We have pioneered the first ever online project monitoring system for a financial institution, infrastructure financial institution. We are a member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Interbank Association, where we represent India in the Central Asian region. First, credit-enhanced bonds under partial guarantee structure in the country was introduced by IFCL. We have also had a number of inputs given to various committees for, in our policy advocacy initiatives, like the Kelkar Committee, the 5x25 scheme, the HAM model first structuring, the harmonized list of infrastructure. We were the investment advisor to NIIF. We were the nodal agency for the proposed credit enhancement company, and many other initiatives. We successfully carried out India's only harmonious substitution in respect of 6 road projects. And we have done a number of things in the corporate social responsibilities, for which we have been awarded the Rashtriya Khel Protsahan Puraskar in 2016 and 2018, the highest national award for encouragement of sports through CSR activities. So, impact that IFCL has had since its inception, I wanted to bring that also before you, because these are all very less known. Till March 2022, IFCL has participated in over 650 projects with a total project overlay of about 11 lakh crores, and has provided financial assistance to over 28% of India's public-private partnership projects. No other institution has this record, at least in India, and probably I do not know if any, I have not heard of any instance of any institution in the world which has had experience with public-private partnership like this. In the roads and highways, IFCL has been, as a consortium lender, been responsible and involved in in financing the development of 29,000 kilometers of road development, 17% of NH capacity of India. Ports, as a consortium lender, we have been involved in financing 800 million tons of port capacity development, which constitutes 52% of India's major port capacity. In energy, we have been involved in financing 65 gigawatts of energy addition for India's installed capacity. Renewable energy, we have expanded our assistance to renewable energy sector, sanctions of over 17,000 crores and disbursements of over 8,400 crores. We have financed almost all the major international airports, Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Goa, and others. Metro Rail, IFCL has provided financial assistance to the first public-private partnership metro rail project, Pune IT Metro Rail. Railway station development, as I said, we have successfully contributed in India's first railway station redevelopment project at Habibganj as lead lender. And overall, the financial assistance that IFCL has provided has created more than 1.5 crore jobs, direct and indirect, to the economy. And most of our projects have been in the rural areas, which has again contributed to the growth of rural economy. IFCL has always been an advocate of innovative financial projects to cater to the huge funding needs of the infrastructure sector. And we believe that no single product or no single institution is a panacea or is enough to meet the funding gap of the nation, considering its sourcing as well as deployment. Banks are perhaps banks and financial institutions which have been there, like the IFCL, the REC, the PFCs, and IRFC. Probably these are probably the best institution today to handle greenfield projects. The financial architecture that we see in the future is that these greenfield projects, once commissioned, can be channeled, can be monetized, and and the bond market can play a very, very effective role in taking forward the longer term of financing such projects. So I think that's something which we are advocating and we believe in. And in the emerging landscape, we hope to play a larger role and act as a bridge between the Government of India, its infrastructure creation agenda, and the financial markets.
You, dear friends. It's a great pleasure to see you all here. And because this is an annual meet, I think I'm meeting you for the first time. Last meet press conference we had was an online interaction. But this time, I think for the first time, we have been able to interact face to face and meet physically. It is always a pleasure to interact and know each other and have the greater freedom of, especially for the press. I think it is more enthralling to ask the questions when you are sitting across the table. Online, there could be certain reservations whether to ask or not to ask, and then whether I am audible or not, then whether whether the connectivity issue is there or not. So we have all passed through those 2 years, but nonetheless, as we say, we all travel by car or by bus or metro. They say, there is a famous saying that economies travel only on infrastructure. We may be traveling by different modes of transport. So I think this message after COVID has gone across the world in no uncertain terms, and India has been no exception to this story also. The way the infrastructure sector growth has catapulted most of the economy in bringing back to the, I think lunch is awaiting, so we should be talking. Has progressed in last 2 years, and we are both are very happy. And few points I would just like to add. I think he has been very comprehensive, and I was looking at it because most of the points which I had jotted down on those 2 pages, he has already said. So in fact, I have nothing more to add other than to just add a bit of spice to what has already been stated, in the sense that financially, yes, we have progressed very well, but I think all of it would not have been possible without the help of these my senior officers and the middle rung and the lowest to the youngest employee we have had sitting just in front of me, who may have joined, I think, after me, because I am also one of the youngest to join, 1.5-year-old, and I think she is less than that. So what I mean to say is the without the human resources, they have worked hard and tirelessly. My HR head is also here. So we have been all putting them in the right kind of roles. The role assignment has been, and utilizing them to the best of their capability. That's one. The second is, we have been a very socially inclusive employer, in the sense we have been complying with all the directions of the ministry in terms of complying with the directives of having the diversified workforce, which I'm proud to say that more than 30% of my workforce in terms of gender diversity consists of women employees. So that all these factors have contributed to the growth story, the phenomenal run in terms of profits, in terms of asset quality, in terms of recovery, everything, CRR, whatever we asked for in terms of figures, yes, it has been there. Another thing, the third focus we have been putting on digitization of work processes in-house, and also in terms of project monitoring, because that is where the lenders' legs are tied, is what is happening to the project progress. If we are not monitoring on time, we are accused of having disbursed the funds and the physical progress not being there. So we have made use of drones, artificial intelligence in putting together an in-house developed online project monitoring system. But yes, this needs the test of the market, in terms of, because we are not lead bank in many of the projects. We are their lead bank in very minuscule percentage, where we have to take the lead bank along with us to push forward and go for the need to have these kind of real-time project monitoring, so that the requirement of sending my team down to the field is minimized. And in terms of wastage of resources, in terms of effectiveness of that data, in terms of producing that tomorrow in the eyes of court of law, that digital evidence is much more capable of being produced as an evidence. The third is the capacity building. We are putting focus on training and development of my workforce in order to empower them and equip them with the latest tools and techniques in terms of their knowledge capacities. And that is how the bonds and InvITs we have been able to. We have a team led by very efficient the resources who have mobilized and put in a very short period of time. Though 975 crore, I would say, appears to be small amount, but given the backdrop that this was performed in 2 months, and the important compliment we got from the market was we are surprised with the turnaround time which IFCL has turned the transaction. It was executed in flat 15 days, and one of the reputed foreign FII who was behind the transaction, they said we have never seen such a agility in terms of turnaround time. So that is what we would be focusing in the coming area. We are not going to sit on these laurels on the back of these performances, because laurels of course is a wrong word, because we get same salaries, we don't get reward in terms of no such performance like unlike private sector peers, but laurels in terms of having the satisfaction of done something good for the and contributed towards the development of the country. I think no better satisfaction a government servant gets other than contribution towards the growth. The fourth area which we are looking as is we are looking at AIFs and green energy, how to promote these in the coming year. We will be putting in increased focus on these two areas, alternate investment funds, how to increase them, funding support through these vehicles also. Another fifth aspect, I would say, our growth has not been only standalone. We also carry 3 babies with us who are my subsidiary companies. All 3 of them have given phenomenal performance like the parent company. IIFCL UK, though the results, audited results, I'll be getting in a week's time, they have also given much more profits than they gave in the preceding year. IPL, we have another subsidiary, IPL, which is advisory and transactional structuring. They have also given more than 45% increase in the profits as compared to the preceding year. So third subsidiary is IMCL. They have also exceeded the targets in the last year. So it's not that the parent company, all my 3 subsidiaries are also healthy and prospering, and they will also bloom into a good product in the year to come. So last, we are also doing the my colleague talked about the social responsibility, because all these profits, as you know, statutorily we are required to spend a percentage of under the Companies Act towards. We are doing the impact assessment of our activities, what we are doing through corporate social responsibility. So we are not just sitting and spending and getting awards, but we are also going one step further in terms of getting the impact assessment being done by an independent agency and putting it and making a disclosure before the board of directors. So I think with all, I think another last but not least, which is the capacity building, we did not only in-house, but for the first time, India has taken the lead in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Last month, I was there with my team in Uzbekistan. We conducted a 2-day first ever capacity building program under Shanghai Cooperation Organization for the officials of Uzbekistan. And despite the language barrier, I think the sessions were very lively and very interactive, and there was a huge participation and appreciation from Uzbekistan side. And now we are going, when India is going to chair the presidency, we have taken up with MEA that we should be allowed to carry on this exercise. And I think 2 programs we will be doing in India during our presidency, when India will chair the presidential chair of SCO Forum. So
you said that 780 crore recovery was done during last financial year. What is the target for the current fiscal? And PCR seems to be on the lower side. Where do you see this going up in this current fiscal?
PCR, we have been able to bring it up all the way from about 40-42% in the last 2 years to kind of at the level that it is in about 67%. So we would like to definitely make the financial robustness, we would like to get that into our balance sheet. Obviously, as per the necessary expected loss calculations that are that would warrant the provisioning. So definitely we are going by that, because as an NBFC we are now more governed by the Ind AS, which actually looks at the expected loss based provisioning. So we will definitely be we are even presently we are abiding, and we are actually complied with all that that is necessary, and in future also we would like to look at that. And at the same time, the recoveries have been a very important area for us to focus on, because of the legacy issues involved in the stress of the assets. So we have now considerably de-stressed the balance sheet of IIFCL, and that will continue till it is free of any stress. So the recovery, even now, we are very aggressive about. As we go on, it looks like most of the easier or lower hanging fruits as far as the recoveries is more or less tapped. As we go ahead, the climb may be even steeper and maybe tougher, but we will definitely strive, and we will walk the long rope in that. So this year, and bring the stress down, and that's the overall objective of the company also. Looking at the future directions, considering the geopolitical issues and situation that we are in, obviously we are not as decoupled as we were about a decade and a half back. There are a lot of integrations, both financial as well as non-financial, and we have a number of activities going on. So definitely we are facing some issues, but the infrastructure sector as such continues to grow. The capex cycle is very encouraging, and the investments, it's only it's a matter of time when the investments, the private investments, when they begin to flow. So we are looking forward to that time when private investment starts flowing in a big way, because so far the government has been very supportive, and the infrastructure cylinder has been mainly fired by government programs. Now we are beginning to see the private investments and private initiatives also coming, but more in the brownfield space. We have a very reasonable brownfield environment where the bond market also is quite active, but the greenfield environment still is. We have a long way to go. The necessary contractual issues that are there, solving all of them, resolving the termination payment issues, and also speeding up resolutions, speeding up arbitration mechanisms. All those things are on, and I think at least at the central level, the National Highway Authority and MOT, they have been very active on that. And Finance Ministry also has been pushing this very hard. So I think the efforts of the government is on, but we would see a better confidence building amongst the investors if some more reforms are brought in. Something like the tripartite agreement between the lenders, the concessioning authority, and the concessionaire. That would enable a law which can go a long way for promoting infrastructure projects, particularly looking at the long-term nature of such projects, long-term review of financial regulations, which may also add to the conduciveness of enabling and ensuring long-term financial flows into the infrastructure sector.
Couple of questions. One, If you could give us some sense of what will be the aspiration for the current fiscal, having done well last year and staged the turnaround of sorts, what ambitions are you setting for yourself for the current fiscal in terms of sanctions and disbursements? And which of the segments of infrastructure do you see which will be a growth driver for IFCL in the current year or even in the short term? Investments in InvITs itself has not been established, right? So what is the thinking of IFCL? How is lending going to be a game changer for you? My question is, why look at lending when you have not gone the full mile on investments? Trying to, or will IFCL look at sort of creating the green bond market in India, making the first steps for establishing a green bond market?
To answer the green segment first, yes, in the bonds we are very, very active, and we would definitely look at the renewables as well as ensuring that our support is there for the green bond market. And as I said earlier, India needs long-term investors in the bond market, and we would like to play a role where we can do long-term lending in the bond market. So definitely that is there as an investor.
Yeah, so the role here is you will be an investor and not a issuer.
Issuance of bonds again depends upon our resources, and our resource needs is definitely there. And 40% of our funds, more than 40% of our funds come from the multilaterals, and balance 60% comes from the bonds and all the other borrowings. Definitely it will form a big constituent, and we are in discussion with some of the agencies to raise resources, even raise resources from the bonds as far as the green segment is concerned. We will definitely look at that as well. But more importantly, as a supplier of finance, we would also get into the investment side also. So it will be a dual activity for us. As far as the plan of IFCL, aspirations of IFCL for the coming year as well as medium term is concerned, we will continue to do what we have been doing. We always believe that we have to do things right, and we'll do it again and again. I think that's exactly what needs to be done to achieve excellence, if not perfections. But definitely we are going to be in the same. We are going to continue with our trends of activities. And today we have a CRAR of about 30%, which is about 2 times the regulatory requirement. So that gives me room to grow at least 2 folds, which can be looked at in the immediate sense. But going forward, for sustaining the business model in the way that infrastructure sector needs and deserves, we are planning. We have put in place a strategy, and we are planning to grow and ensure this further growth with internal accruals. So that will add to the kind of contributions and the kind of exposure that IFCL is going to be having in future in the infrastructure sector. This will entail the alternate investment funds. That is what my colleague Mr. Pawan Kumar talked about. We are looking very actively at alternate investment vehicles, and also the infrastructure investment trusts from the financial institutions' point of view. So how these institutions can play a role in setting apart assets, getting us capital relief, at the same time getting more investors into the infrastructure segments, and ensuring the confidence of investors by by maintaining an arm's length distance between the developer and playing the role of a fiduciary vehicle, an investor vehicle. So I think these are some things which we are very, very keenly looking at and examining. And the coming year will reveal some of our programs in this front. The tempo, because this year has been a very tough year, and though we faced a number of adverse situations during the year because of the pandemic, we were able to achieve 25,000 crores. But the next year, we have already drawn out a plan, and like I said, the scope is to double this. And then the disbursements, last year we had done a disbursements of about 10,500 crores, and the scope is there to double this, but considering that our products were limited last year, we hope to go longer than that. We would like to exceed that double in disbursements. And definitely matters, but net worth matters more, and I think that's where we are looking at.
So what do you think will be this growth driver for you this year?
This year, the growth drivers will come mainly from alternate vehicles, investment trusts, bonds, and alternate investment vehicles, bonds, and InvITs, and also refinancing. Roads and power has always been our center stage. That will continue to be our focus areas, and we would like to kind of get our product lines more diversified, so as to break the concentration which has been there so far. We have been roads and energy. We have been able to reduce that significantly to about 60-65% now. So that efforts will continue to foray into other sectors. And apart from that, I think we would like to get into areas of refinancing, focus on refinance, where the asset quality improvement will be our main objective, because 2 years ago, the quality of our assets, if you look at it, not from the NPA angle, from the external rating angle, it used to be about 28% comprising of A, AA and AAA grade rating assets from the external, like the existing rating agencies in India. That 28% has now grown into 67%. So now we have 67% of our assets covered with A, AA and AAA. So that shows a significant improvement in our asset quality from the rating angle as well. So I think that that focus will continue to be there. So we hope to strengthen that further and grow that further. And in the green fields, we will continue our endeavor. We already have a pipeline, and we will try to grow that pipeline to the extent that we can grow, and how the market responds. And what are the kind of new project areas and new project initiatives by state governments, central government, and other central departments. The underlying objective is that we will be in the green field and in the project environment. Our focus will be on large strategic projects with national importance.
What is the nature of activity that you are looking at? Will you set up an AIF structure, or will you look to invest in AIF structures of others?
See, at the moment, we are examining that initiative. The idea is to get partnerships with others to enable a transfer of assets, or an assignment of assets in a way that is more conducive and providing relief of capital to IFCL. So that is what we are having in mind. This has to be examined, and we are hoping that we will come out with a strategy soon.
land users are concerned. So what is being done to streamline the projects and to boost the entire sector, like, in opposition rule states especially?
See here, have a limited role as far as the quality control is concerned. And the quality control parameters, what has to be examined ad initio is already done at the level of the lenders at the time of issuing the sanctions to the project. That is, once the bid is successful and the bidder comes to, the lender looks into different aspects, including the future quality aspects and how it has to be controlled and what are the major maintenance reserves that has to be maintained and all those things, they look at it and we lay down conditions for that and we ensure that, the project monitoring is, done in a manner that is not detrimental, but it is useful to everybody in the consortium of lenders as well as to the future prospective users, so that the toll collections and the kind of revenue generation that can happen will happen in the manner that has been planned for.
स्वास्थ्य और शिक्षा दोनों बहुत बड़े क्षेत्र हैं, तो इन दोनों क्षेत्रों में हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं या कुछ प्लानिंग है आगे?
ये बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट सवाल है आपकी। ये सोशल सेक्टर की जो बात कर रहे हैं, सोशल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर, एजुकेशन, हेल्थ केयर, ये सब सोशल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के अंडर आता है। एंड हमारे जो मैंडेट है सोशल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की, बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट मैंडेट है हमारी। पिछले साल हमने हेल्थ केयर में सैंक्शनिंग, वी सैंक्शनड अ लोन टू द हेल्थ केयर सेक्टर। पिछले साल रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया ने हमको एक परमिशन दिया था फॉर फाइनेंसिंग ट्रस्ट, क्योंकि आज ज़्यादातर जो एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस है मोस्टली रन बाय ट्रस्ट्स। अभी फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड बैंक्स normally are not permitted to lend to such trusts. So we have got the permission recently only from the Reserve Bank of India for lending our exposure to educational institutions and lending to trusts. So we are examining how we can go about it, and obviously the intention is to support educational institutions and the education sector in a big way. Because obviously the social infrastructure constitutes a very, very important segment for IFCL. And not only IFCL, since IFCL being a government arm, the objectives of the health and education ministries also form a very, very integral part of our overall objective. So this sector is a very important one as far as our financing is concerned. Assets that are under IBC, I may not be able to tell. I think I can give you the exact number. It should be around it. Is Amit there?
5,000 crore. Taking the whole banking sector, we are not alone in the consortium. Please understand that in the consortium there are multiple banks also. So it's approximately around that. Recovery, recovery is very case to case specific,
I think as regards the speed is concerned, I think government has recently taken a lot of steps, because I've been interacting with Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board as I was ED there earlier for 2 years. So I think yes, again we know that there is a slight, as regards the pendency is concerned, it got clogged before the NCLT benches. But now with the strengthening of strength, the actual bench strength in the NCLT, with the recruitment of new members, we are seeing that the speed has got is coming back, and cases are getting cleared on their way. Now being involved in the consortium, now it lies in our interest also as a banker that our cases are speeded up. But more importantly, we are concerned with as regards our recoveries are concerned, we are more concerned with the prompt release of termination payments. That is also one area which actually impinges on our recovery efforts.
An initiative that we have commenced in discussion with IRDA because the process of termination, we feel, resting with the concessioning authority may not be the most efficient system. So we feel that if the termination payment system is delineated from that of the concessioning authority, I think that would serve the interest of the sector better, and it will bring in better confidence amongst the investors as well as the lenders. So we have started the discussions with the IRDA and ADB, and we have proposed that there should be a new initiative, project completion risk insurance. So we are working on that, and if that happens to that it's in the conceptual stage at the moment.
Very nascent.
And we hope that if this is taken forward, it will not only address the issues that are faced by developers on one side, but also the lenders and other investors who are involved in the ecosystem. So I think this is a very important initiative that we have embarked this year.
And how has been the response from IRDA?
It is in the conceptual stages. We are in discussion. So ADB is also there, and we are having discussions, and it depends upon how it evolves at this stage. आपकी जो प्रश्न है वो बिडिंग से शुरू होती है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बिडिंग के बाद 6 महीने दिए जाते हैं. जो सक्सेसफुल बिडर जो होता है, जो कंसेशनर के रोल अपना लेता है, उसको 6 महीने मिलते हैं फाइनेंशियल क्लोजर के लिए. एंड फाइनेंशियल क्लोजर इन 6 months used to be a very long time earlier. But आजकल the response of the financial institutions are also quite good. The banks are there, and certain banks are much faster than they used to be before. The State Bank of India's initiatives are all very, very clear on that. And the Union Bank, the Canara Bank, they are all very, very nimble-footed. That is where IIFCL also is now trying to gear up its turnaround time. ये turnaround time जो बोलते हैं, जल्दी response करना. The response to the developers' needs has to be very fast. So that we are trying to bring down our turnaround time in a big way, so that we respond very fast to the developers' needs, and we complete our appraisals and accord our sanctions in fastest possible time. And monitoring also we are trying to do through in the prospective projects. We have stipulated that even in agreements we have stipulated that we will only follow the online project monitoring, which will cut down all delays. But more importantly, from the point of view of the government and जो systems जो है, like I said, there needs to be a lot of reforms in the concessions. Basically, tripartite agreement की ज़रूरत है. That we feel very strongly about that. Many developed economies have tripartite agreements between lenders, where lenders are also a party in addition to the concessioning authority and the concessionaire. Because leaving out the lenders in a tripartite agreement brings in many complications and delays. And also ultimately it leads to a lot of increased costs as well as losses. So this has to be avoided, and we need to have an ab initio terms and conditions decided by all the 3 parties, as the concessionaire, concessioning authority, and the lender. This will also it will also boost the confidence of lenders, and it will bring in more finances to the system. That is not only from the lender's point of view, but it's also useful from the investor's point of view. So this is one part. Second is, of course, like I said, the dispute resolutions and the arbitration mechanism and the kind of termination procedures. These are all some things which we need to work on and bring about changes on the real side, on the sectoral side. And the financial sides, we need to review our financial regulations for infrastructure sector, and particularly in line with international perspective. I think we need to look at we need to have a relook at the way restructuring is regulated. I think there we need to bring in some reforms, and we have to look at the international perspective for infrastructure projects. So if these things are done, I think a lot of impetus will be given for lending, and we can look at long-term lending flourishing in a big way. These are all that. Okay. Thank you. CSR, we have our CSR programs have touched more than 500,000 people, and of this 500,000 people, 350,000 are students, particularly in rural areas. Our CSR programs have covered sanitation, toilets, the cleanliness program of the government. We have been supporting in a big way. Then, in addition to that, we have also covered development of backward districts by additions of solar pumps, street lightings, and skill development, and healthcare units in different areas. We have also helped in maintaining heritage monuments. The major monuments in India, we have helped in different ways, including the Taj Mahal, including the Red Fort, Qutub Minar, and many others. And in sports, we have financed the first silver medalist in Olympics in badminton. We have actually sponsored the team, the badminton team. And we are lending our support to the Olympic podium scheme of the government, through which we are sponsoring the badminton and archery, where and archery you have more rural coverage, tribal coverage, and then we also are covering the Paralympic sports. So it's a very, very wide coverage as far as CSR is concerned. And in the healthcare, we have also financed the AIMS, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, for setting up a center of excellence for child neurology. And we have also lent our support to the Health Ministry, Union Health Minister's Cancer Fund, which supports the below poverty line families for their cancer treatments. 4-5 years ago, it used to take even 300 days, maybe more than 3 years, 3 to 4 years also sometimes, this arbitration process. Over a period of time, we have shortened the process, in the sense I can see that the length of the process has come down, the kind of focus that is there now. But still it is too long. It takes more than 180 to 365 days in many cases. Average length of arbitration has definitely come down, but still it depends upon case to case, depends on the complications of the issues involved. And most of the complications comes only because the issues are not well addressed at the commencement of the project itself, at the concession stage itself. And these all are more complicated where lenders also are involved. So I think it's a matter of parties which are actually involved in the project. They all should be brought together at the time of concessions, at the time of building in the concessions. So that is why we are propagating and we are advocating that we need a tripartite agreement between the concessioning authority, the concessionaire, and the lenders, which will be very useful for the ecosystem, and it will be easy for addressing any disputes that may arise in future. So this is the solution that we envision IIFCL as continuing to play the role of the leading innovative lender for infrastructure sector in the infrastructure financing space. We hope to come out with more innovative financial products, and the scope of our contributions or the scope of our lending for the sector, we hope to almost quadruple in the next 3 years. And as far as the growth is concerned, the future growth is concerned, we are in the process of putting in a strategy which will enable the future growth through internal accruals. We need to understand InvITs as a vehicle. It's been the first time in the history of our generation that this kind of mechanism has been formed, because this kind of a mechanism doesn't exist anywhere in the world. We have the REITs. So this has been more taken from the REITs concept. But looking at it from the need for InvITs in India, it's because we have we have a limited number of developers who can actually play the role that is needed for meeting the infrastructure aspirations and needs of the nation. And the leveraging which is happening both in terms of banks exposure as well as taking the exposures with the banks, the exposures of the developers in various projects. There is a mechanism needed there was a mechanism which was needed for releasing their capital, and that this seemed to be the best way that it could have been done. So it was a mechanism where developers can release their capital, at the same time hold on to the project with their management control and under SEBI regulations. So it was a very apt vehicle for ensuring that the part capital or full capital which is released from the InvIT mechanism can be used for deployment into other projects, and they can go on the project development in a larger scale. So this is the history of InvITs. From the financing angle, they need to leverage as far as the existing finance is also concerned, because cost of funds is a function of market conditions, and they would definitely like to kind of engage with financial institutions, one for ensuring better efficiencies in their costs, and at the same time for acquisition of more number of projects into the InvITs. So this is where financial institutions lend their support. Now, investment is a different area where the investors, by investing into InvITs, help to release the capital for the developers. Now, in the Indian context, InvITs, as per the SEBI regulations, have to have 90% of projects which are completed and 10% of the projects which can be under construction. 90% of the project should have been completed. Now, from the Indian perspective, it is necessary for bringing in more investors, particularly from the private sector and from sovereign wealth funds as well as international space. If we look at banks and financial institutions in the domestic space, they must go to leverage such investments. That is the principle with which it was the entire mechanism was conceived. So we are looking at investments coming more from outsiders, from outside the government space, and fill in this space of creating more capital rather than ourselves filling the space and blocking that capital for private and for sovereign wealth funds and for international investors. At this stage, I think that is the view that we have taken. But going forward, we always have the scope for considering our views in respect of projects which are of national importance and strategic necessity. So I think in such projects we would definitely have our we will go with an open mind where we can even look at examining investments. So at the moment we are only focused on lending. We are not looking at investments.
Thank you very much, everyone, for that very engaging interaction. And on behalf of IIFCL, I take this opportunity to once again thank the media fraternity for being with us today and giving such a good interaction with us. And we look forward to meeting you again next year.